only to this academic institution, I think. And that is what is spiritualism in the context of business and management. The term is normally used and discussed at higher philosophical level. I get shut off whenever my friends try to indulge me in discussions on meaning and purpose of life, eternity and evolution of soul, etc. Spiritualism could be and should be defined in a much simpler way. The saint of Banaras, Kabir, Meera, Narsi Mehta and other saints explain spiritualism in a very simple way to people. As a consequence of which, so many illiterates and low-income people live highly spiritual life. Whatever small possessions they have, they are not afraid to give a part of it for some societal concerns and for altruistic purposes. Now, why can't we define concepts of spiritualism in a very simple way for management? Writing about one of the greatest manager and certainly the greatest banker of our time, Mr. N. Vagul wrote, "The basis for his moral courage stems from a deep sense of spiritualism from which he drew his powerful inspiration. He had no taste for metaphysics. In fact, philosophy bored him stiff. His spiritualism is rich in profundity and yet marked with simplicity. His immense faith in God led him to believe that he was merely an instrument of divine, carrying out the will of the divine, and he should take delight in performing this role. He did not question the purpose of life, nor delve into the meaning of this existence. He was indifferent to all these concepts, but knew that he was an instrument of divine, and whatever came in his way, whether they were downturns, despair or other thing, he just took it as a will of divine and went on offering his best services for the cause for which he worked." I am talking about Mr. R.K. Talwar, late State Bank of India chairman. To remove him from his seat, I think they had to pass a special act during Indira Gandhi's emergency. And that was the man who stood for anything, for all his values, and everything else was secondary in his life. If spiritualism has to enter the dictionary of management, it has to be defined in an appropriate way, simple, unambiguous and practicable. And it should be corroborated with the instances of behavior and sayings of notably spiritual managers. Take for example this simple quotation. I'm sure many of you would be aware of it. A customer is the most important person on our premises. He is not dependent on us. We are dependent on him. He is not an interruption to our work. He is the purpose of he is our purpose. He is not an outsider to our business. He is part of it. We are not doing him a favor by serving him. He is doing us a favor by giving us an opportunity to do so. What a message. Simple and yet so profound. See the spiritual content of the message, where consumer is always put first, as if he is a partner in your business and not he is someone distant from your business. This message adorns the desks of so many managers and employees all over the world. It has transformed service outlook of many a people in institution. And who wrote it? Mahatma Gandhi, who was not a businessman. That is why no jargons, no philosophy, and yet so direct and effective. Spiritualism need not be so esoteric that it could frighten managers. My request to all of you is that let spiritualism enter management in a disguised form if need be, without even being called spiritualism. I'll give you some instances. For example, IBM. I remember IBM chairman, where I think consumer always comes first, and whatever be his service needs, they always come first. I remember once the marketing manager, they had planned a very important conference at 3 o'clock in the afternoon with IBM chairman to be present there, Marketing manager was on his duty to Princeton, New Jersey, which is only an hour and a half drive from New York. Actually, IBM is located at Purchasky or some place which is very near New York. The man did not turn up till 7 o'clock. They tried to contact him and he said, look, a client has an important service requirement. I am with him. And chairman said, all right, you finish it, come. And when he came, the meeting started at 7 o'clock in the evening. But see, this was the attitude of IBM chairman. And the same of author writes in his way that IBM has the philosophy that anyone who works for IBM, his wife should be happy that my husband works for IBM. His parents should be happy that their son works for IBM. The children should be happy that their father works for IBM. And the community around him should always feel happy that we have an IBM employee in our neighborhood. Now this is the philosophy of IBM. Lot of spiritualism, no jargons, nothing. But that is how IBM has survived. If you want to read more of such examples, there is one beautiful book called Built to Last. This is a book on American corporations which have lasted for more than a century. They are all into existence. I think look at their vision statements, their philosophies, attitude, and you will find the same thing. That ultimately they are doing something for humanity and human society. A medical firm who makes that, he says we make this for the life, for improvement in lives of people. The vision statement. It doesn't say to cure the people, but to bring about improvement in the lives of the people. But read that book. I think one of the finest book written on companies which have lasted more than 100 years. And there you will get ideas of what kind of vision statement these companies had. One comes across several managers, both in East and West, who are spiritual in their conduct and work and display extraordinary concern. Now I don't want to go into the current crisis. I think someone has already spoken about that. But let me tell you, such crises are not uncommon in this society. If I tell you two famous books written on about USA, one was Barbarians at the Gate, and second one, Predator's Ball, both written in 1990s about American capitalism. They also pursued American business the way we are pursuing now, what happened after 2008, I think. So such things are not uncommon. And the basic reason is, I think, we are awakened to this need for spiritualism not because of 2008, but by and large there is very serious lack of spiritualism in the concept of capitalism itself. It believes in competition. Professor Xavier said beautifully in some few simple words, don't compare. Yes, today many enlightened companies, when they market their products, they never compare. They just want to sell their product on their own merits, but don't compare. Earlier it was far more common. Now it is much less common. That a company never sells products by comparing with others. If you meet their salesman and ask them, but what about their product? He says, no, I can't tell you about that. They straightforward come and tell you this. But this is the kind of thing which is coming in the society, I think. That's why those concepts have to be brought in. But my personal feeling is this will be an approach of gradualism. But we have to hammer this concept in business schools, in tomorrow's leaders' minds, and by going to each corporation separately, running them maybe 1 day, 2 day, 3 day seminars for them, and hammer in some of the leading corporations. Because once leaders do, then followers come. I think you have to seek for who are the ones which are the likely leaders in society and concentrate on them, and the message follows. I think Tata's message follows because Tatas are Tatas. And today everyone aspires to be like Tatas. They may not succeed always like that, but the ambition is always there. You have to, I think, kind of put further, things in that ambition on that, Just I will not go into, already I have run out of my time, but all I would say is, I think remember, that famous hymn, Lead Kindly Light, and I think one step enough for me, I think. Go step by step, but I would not believe that some kind of radical transformation in today's management is very necessary. Thank you very much.